Eu estou em uma favela no bairro de Mezé, a apenas 3 quilômetros de Damasco, e aqui eu entrevistei dois homens. Um deles que foi preso e foi solto em setembro, e outro que foi solto ontem. Os dois me contaram suas histórias de por que eles foram presos e como foi a vida dentro da prisão. Por razões óbvias, eles pedem para não aparecer, para não serem identificados, e não querem nem sequer que as suas vozes sejam ouvidas. Eles estão ainda aterrorizados com a possibilidade de voltarem a ser presos ou mortos. This man says he and his family had finished the morning prayer and were sitting in the living room when policemen and shabiha, or ghosts, as the regime's irregular agents are known, broke through the door and the window. They asked him where were his weapons. He told them he had no weapons. They tied my hands on my back with nylon handcuffs, took me to the car and started to hit me, said the man, who talked to me a day after he left prison, where he stayed for 53 days. The day before his arrest, he had attended the funeral procession from the mosque to the graveyard of 3 demonstrators killed. Apparently, that was the reason for his arrest. He says he was taken to the underground level of a prison and locked up in a small cell with about 60 men. It was impossible to sit down, says the 30-year-old man. They called my name. Without saying a word, 3 shabiha started beating me up, he recalls. Later, he was accused of having tanks and rockets. I don't know where they take these things from, he says, but they beat us up until we agree with whatever they say. Among several methods of torture, he mentioned the tashlich, a device that presses against the chest until almost breaking it. Then they hit the victim's back to make them breathe again. He says they also squeezed the neck with ropes until almost strangling. 4 men would hold the victim's hands and open legs and would hit their testicles. I saw many people hanging from the ceiling by their arms for many days, the man says. The sick prisoners didn't get any medical treatment. The agents used to say that they could kill 100 people, that they didn't care about a thing. When the prisoners went to the toilet in the corridor, the warders would hit their heads and blaspheme. Not even Jews would say such offensive words about our God and our religion, the man claimed. They used to say they would bring my sister and do to her things I cannot repeat. He claims to have seen boys as young as 12 years old in prison. The man recalls that prisoners from Homs, a city in the west center of Syria, were brought in with exposed wounds, and the agents applied electric shocks inside them, threatening to do the same with the prisoners from Damascus if they didn't confess. Apparently, the agents avoid causing scars on the prisoners from Damascus for fear that they could get in touch with human rights activists or foreign journalists. He claims he was forced to put his fingerprints on 6 pages of confession without knowing what they would state. Some were filled up, others were blank. After 51 days, he was transferred to another prison, where he was interrogated again, and the new agents cursed the previous interrogators because they had made him confess only 5 crimes, whereas they needed 10 confessions. This other man, 28 years old, was arrested for 21 days. He has a religious background and leads prayers at a mosque. He was walking out of a celebration of Ramadan, the Muslim holy month, in August, when he was captured by 4 men, who also took him to a military prison. When he arrived at the prison, they started beating him up, and they told him, "Do you want to be a president, a minister? You won't get out of here before 20 years." During his first week in prison, he was forced to keep standing and forbidden to sleep. When the warder who sat at the cell's door left, he leant his head against the wall and took a nap. His cellmates nudged him when the warder walked back. Lying with his belly on the ground, his knees bent, he says they hit his feet with batons. After these sessions, he wasn't able to walk and was carried by his cellmates to the corridor's toilet. They were allowed to go to the toilet 3 times a day for 2 minutes. He says there were 65 people in his cell, which was 5 meters by 5, and they had to alternate standing or crouching. He also recalled that they brought in a prisoner from Homs, burned his leg with a lighter, and threatened to do the same to them. He was also forced to put his fingerprints on 5 pages. When he asked what was written there, he was told, "It's none of your business." Political prisoners in Syria have no right for a lawyer, a trial, or visitors. Their families have no idea of their whereabouts. I asked him his opinion about Bashar Assad's regime. He replied, "I'm sure this government will fall down. We are not going to pull back or stop, because then we would die."